Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Freedom Talks, where we dive deep in the complexity of freedom of speech. I'm your host, Andy, and tonight we have a panel of experts joining us to discuss the landscape of freedom of speech in Malaysia. Let's give a warm welcome to our esteemed guests, Li Haozhen, Yaman Foden. Welcome.
Hello.
Malaysia, a country known for its diverse culture and rapid economic growth. Yet, freedom of speech remains a topic of debate. Li Haozhen, as a legal expert, could you give us some insights into the constitutional framework for freedom of speech in Malaysia?
Certainly, Andy. Freedom of speech is indeed enshrined in the Federal Constitution of Malaysia under Article 10. But it's not an absolute right. Section 10 subs 2 allow for restriction on freedom of speech to safeguard national security, public order, and morality.
Thank you, Haozhen. Yaman, you have been involved in advocating for human rights in Malaysia. Could you share some light on the practical challenges individuals face when exercising their right to freedom of speech?
Absolutely, Andy. While the Constitution guarantees freedom of speech, individuals face challenges due to vague laws such as Sedition Act and the Communications and Multimedia Act. These laws are often used to silence dissenting voices, leading to a culture of fear and self-censorship among citizens.
That's concerning indeed. Foden, as a journalist who has covered issues related to freedom of speech, what are your observations on the media landscape in Malaysia and its impact on freedom of expression?
Thank you, Andy. The media landscape in Malaysia is complex, with traditional and online platforms where there's a level of freedom. Journalists often face intimidation and legal threats when reporting on sensitive issues. The environment hampers the ability to freely report and express their diverse viewpoints.
Thank you for sharing your insights, Foden. You have been involved in grassroots movements advocating for freedom of speech. Can you tell us about some of the challenges faced by activities and civil society organizations in Malaysia?
Of course, Andy. Activists and civil societies play a crucial role in our community, promoting freedom of speech, but they face numerous challenges, including harassment, surveillance, and legal prosecution. The government uses of repressive laws to suppress dissent, stifles activism, and hampers efforts to bring about a positive change in the community.
It is heartening to hear about these challenges. Haozhen, what are your thoughts on the government's role in ensuring freedom of speech while maintaining national and public order?
Balancing freedom of speech with national security is indeed a delicate task for any government. While it is essential to safeguard national interests, any restriction on freedom of speech must be proportionate and in line with international human rights standards. Heavy-handed tactics only serve to undermine democracy and stifle dissent.
Thank you for highlighting that, Haozhen. Yaman, based on your experience, what are some positive steps that can be taken to address the challenges faced by individual and civil society organizations in Malaysia?
I think that education and awareness are key in promoting freedom of speech. Empowering individuals with knowledge about their rights, providing support to civil society organizations can help build a more inclusive and democratic society. Additionally, efforts to repeal or amend repressive laws are crucial steps towards ensuring greater freedom of expression.
Absolutely, Foden. As a journalist, what role do you think the media can play in promoting freedom of speech and fostering a more open society in Malaysia.
Well, Andy, the media plays a crucial role in holding power to account, amplify diverse voices. Journalists must strive to report truthfully and fearlessly, despite the challenges they face. By providing a platform for diverse viewpoints and promoting open dialogue, the media can contribute to a more vibrant and inclusive public disclosure.
Well, we're almost at the end of our time, but before let's discuss the current case and your final thought about that in Malaysia study with Houghton.
Reflecting on the challenges faced in Malaysia, we must consider real-life cases that highlight the importance of protecting freedom of speech. Take the cases of activist Maria Chin Abdullah, who was detained under the Security Offences Act for her involvement in the Bersih movement. This demonstrates the needs of balance between national security and fundamental rights.
Absolutely, Hausen. Another example is the case of the cartoonist Zunar, who faced multiple charges under the Sedition Act for his political cartoons critical of the government. His ordeal underscores the threats faced by artists and activists who dare to speak up.
Indeed, these cases illustrate the harsh realities of individuals facing with expression discrediting opinions in Malaysia. Despite these challenges, it's imperative for us to continue advocating for freedom of speech and press freedom. Our collective efforts can bring about positive change and create a more open and inclusive society.
As we navigate the complexities of freedom of speech in Malaysia, it's crucial to remember that while the government has the responsibility to maintain national security, any restriction on freedom of speech must be proportionate and in line with international human rights standards. Let's continue advocating for a more inclusive and democratic society where diverse voices are heard and respected.
Yes. Despite the challenges we face in exercising our right to freedom of speech, it's important for individuals and civil society organizations to continue pushing for change. By raising awareness and educating others and advocating for the repeal of repressive laws, we can create a more open and inclusive society where freedom of expression is valued and protected.
As journalists, we have a responsibility to uphold the principle of freedom of speech and press freedom. Despite the risks and challenges we face, it's crucial to continue reporting truthfully and fearlessly in Malaysia, amplifying diverse voices of Malaysians and holding power to account for the Malaysians. Together, we can contribute to a more vibrant and inclusive public disclosure in Malaysia for the Malaysians.
Thank you all for your insightful contribution, and thank you to our viewers for tuning to Freedom Talks. Remember, the conversation doesn't end here. Let's continue advocating for freedom of speech because every voice matters. Good night, everyone.